My Fellow Americans is the name of the film that clip is from. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit today about kind of the state of Nintendo and like what's going on. I haven't made a video or anything like that in a while, so I figured I'd come on here and just kind of chat about what's been going on and why I haven't really done anything. Lately, it's been pretty radio silent from Nintendo. I know that they just did do an Indie World. They did just do a partner showcase, and I didn't do really anything about either of those because I don't know, nothing really jumped out at me. I really didn't feel compelled to make anything. So I just kind of was like, I'm just going to kind of keep waiting. Plus, my month of July has been absolutely insane. Um, I'm thinking about maybe talking about that in a later video, but we'll have to see for now. Anyway, moving on. I kind of want to just talk today about like my opinions on the Nintendo Switch 2 and how the generation's going and basically what do I think is happening? Like I don't know, it's kind of shockingly quiet. The first year of the Switch was jam-packed with stuff. I mean, every other month we're getting heavy hitter after heavy hitter. And now it's like we got the heavy hitter with Mario World. The very next month we got Donkey Kong Bonanza and then now it's just kind of like nothing. Nothing really until October with Pokemon Legends ZA. And then just yesterday they announced that Kirby Air Riders is coming in November. So we've got an October November game, which is great, but August and September are still pretty dry. I know that Dragon Drive came out, but come on, that's a $20, $30 little budget title thing here. I don't even know how much it is because I didn't really want to buy it because it does not offer Pro Controller support. I have to play it the way they want me to. I'm just not interested. No, thank you. It looks okay. It could be fun, but it's not my cup of tea. But anyway, one of the things I kind of wanted to chat about today, I was kind of struck by this when I was watching the Kirby Direct, was that I really wish that like we could slow down on the Smash Brothers stuff. I really love Smash, but I kind of am okay with no new Smash for like I don't know, another like 15 years because Ultimate is kind of like all I really need. Just keep porting that to the next console and I'll be fine. I'd rather free up Sakurai to make other things. But anyway, that kind of led me to start thinking about what do I think Nintendo's going to do with their back catalog of content for the rest of the Switch 2 generation? I mean, you've got all these Switch 1 titles. Are you going to do anything with them or are you just going to abandon them? So here's my theory on what Nintendo is going to do. They're going to do one of three things. Number one, you're going to get what I'm going to kind of call a DLC update, kind of like what we're getting with, or what we got with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's got, of course, the improved frame rate and it runs better, but it's got more stuff to it, right? Like it's got the Zelda Notes app on the phone, or it's going to have these little extra quirky little things or some kind of new whatever, right? That's going to be something that's going to also coincide with a physical release so that they can keep that Switch 1 game on the shelf the entirety of the Switch 2 console generation. They want to keep selling you Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but they don't want to sell it to you out of a Nintendo Switch 1 box. They want all the boxes to be Switch 2 boxes. So that way we can keep it on the shelf, but it's going to look like a new Switch 2 title, right? So that's going to obviously be the most premier way of keeping old games on the new console. And I hope that's what they do with Smash. I hope that they just say, here's Smash Ultimate for the Switch 2. It's going to have improved frame rate and it's going to have all of the DLC, all of that stuff on one cartridge. And we're going to charge you probably $70 or $80. It's probably $80. They're probably going to sell it to you for $80. And now to sweeten the deal, they're probably going to say, well, that cartridge will also work on your Switch 1. So if you want to upgrade that title, you can always play it on your Switch 1 or on your Switch 2, kind of like how it is with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And now eventually Metroid Prime 4 will also be that way too. So I think that's hopefully what they're going to do with Smash. I really don't want like an Ultimate 2 or something like that. You don't even got to give us more stages or nothing like that. Just just free up Sakurai. Let him do his own thing. He just is going to put out Air Riders. Let him make another game. I'd rather him just have a little creative freedom from now on. So that's the first way they're going to do it. Keep the old games on the shelves, but just put them in a Switch 2 box and fix them up a little bit. The second way they're going to keep this back catalog of Switch 1 titles alive is just giving them a free update, kind of like with Link's Awakening and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's just going to get a free update to unlock the frame rate, fix it up a little bit, and that's it. You probably will be able to buy those games on the eShop for the entirety of the generation, but they will disappear from physical stores. Kind of funny, interesting story here to tell you really quick about Link's Awakening. A couple years ago, I went to buy Link's Awakening for a relative of mine out here that we were kind of talking about it. He sounded kind of interested in Zelda, so I was like, "Hey, let me pick you up. I'll pick it up for his birthday. I'll surprise him." I went to like 3 stores in downtown Fukuoka City, which has a ton of games. Like, it's not hard to find video games out there. Nobody had it. And the guy was like, "Yeah, we don't really carry that anymore. It's kind of outdated." And I was like, "Outdated?" I mean, this was before Echoes of Wisdom was even announced. And so I was just kind of surprised that it just totally fell off. I was like, "Really? You're going to stop selling a Zelda title?" Like, that's kind of crazy to me. I figured that Zelda and Mario was available all the time, no matter what. I'm sure now with Echoes of Wisdom coming out and the Switch 2 updates, you can definitely probably buy it now. If not, you probably can buy the little download key card code, whatever thing. They sell a lot of those out here, by the way. I mean, any 7-Eleven or a Family Mart or Lawson's or whatever that you walk into, there is just a wall of Switch games in little envelopes that you can buy a code for. Recently, Family Mart was doing that for Donkey Kong Bonanza. They had big flyers of Donkey Kong Bonanza outside, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So they're selling little codes in there, which is kind of cool. But anyway, I thought that was interesting that Link's Awakening was just taken off Japanese shelves for a while there. But anyway, they'll get a free update, but they will probably eventually die, only being able to be bought in the eShop. And then the third and final way, I think, is that they're just not going to touch it at all. They're just probably going to let it die. I think that there will be a few games that'll suffer that fate, but I don't think many. I think everything will at least receive some kind of like free update. Like I was playing Metroid Dread recently on my Switch 2, and I was like, yeah, this definitely could use a nice update. You know, maybe give us some HDR, maybe let us play it in like, 90 hertz or like 120 hertz. 120 hertz Metroid Dread would be sweet because when you're doing that melee counter against the Emmy robots, that kind of sucks. It's like I flail wildly, and it's just like sometimes I'll get lucky, but I don't know. Maybe with higher frame rate that'd be easier to do. But yeah, that's kind of what I think they're gonna do. One of those 3 ways: keep it on the shelf, give it a nice quality deluxe update, give it a free update, but eventually obviously have to remove it from physical store shelves. Or 3, just probably do nothing at all. So like Sword and Shield, I think is a great example of something that's just not gonna get anything. That's just gonna probably die. Um, and I think the reason why, and this honestly, so the reason why they're gonna do one of those 3 ways is I think a clue to what Nintendo's going to release. So like here's an example. If they were going to upgrade Animal Crossing New Horizons, put it in a Switch 2 box, unlock the frame rate, put all the DLC on there, and maybe even add a couple of new furniture packs or something like that, you could pretty much guarantee, oh, we're probably not going to get a new Animal Crossing exclusive for the Switch 2, right? However, I think they're only going to do stuff with that is kind of out the door, right? Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I think that kind of timeline and those games I think are done. I think Alnuma and all of those guys working on the Zelda titles, they're going to move on to whatever the next big Zelda is going to be. I think they're leaving all of that stuff behind. So updating it and continuing to sell it for the Switch 2 is not going to impact future sales of whatever the new Zelda is going to be. Whereas if you were to keep selling New Horizons, You don't want to have New Horizons in this great package right next to a brand new uh, Animal Crossing title that could potentially not be called New something, right? Because we've had New Leaf, New Horizons, but if you called it like, I don't know, like just pretend Animal Crossing City Folk 2, if you've got City Folk 2 next to New Horizons, it's like, well, new is in the New Horizons title. That's probably the newer game. I'll just buy that one. You've got to really, unfortunately, the majority of people that are buying video games are giving them as gifts, or they're buying them for other people that don't know what they're doing. So you really need to just give them the one option. Giving them the one Animal Crossing option for that generation is really the best way to do it. So there's no confusion. Um, but yeah, I really think that that's going to be a nice big clue as to what they're going to do. That's why Mario Odyssey got a free update, not a Switch 2 update, because there's probably a big nice 3D Mario that's coming to the Switch 2 that they don't want to cannibalize their sales against with Odyssey. They kind of want Odyssey to kind of go die. They're like, this was great, we love it. For you guys that still like to play it, here's a little free update, but we kind of want this to go away. We want this off store shelves because we want to make room for the new Mario. So that's what I think they're going to do with the backwards compatibility stuff. As far as the new content, I have no idea what they're doing right now. I really got no clue. I thought I had a good handle on it because I was like, well, they just announced a ton of games at the April Direct. We're stacked. We're guaranteed some big blockbuster every single month here. But now we still don't have a release date for Metroid Prime 4. We don't have a release date for the Hyrule Warriors title. I figure that those were like guaranteed release dates by now. They even showed off new footage for the Hyrule Warriors in the last partner showcase, and they still didn't give a release date. And it was like, why are you even showing us this if you don't have a release date yet? Like, what's the point? Like, why are you just teasing us? It's just crazy. Granted, I don't really want the Hyrule Warriors trailer, but I don't know. I really want that Metroid Prime 4. I'm dying for that Metroid Prime 4, man. It's killing me. It's killing me we still don't have that title, at least just announced for when it's coming out. However, at the time of this recording, I think in about 30 hours from now, or like 28 hours from now, I need to check. Team Cherry is going to be releasing information about Silksong. So I think it's pretty much guaranteed, by some time next week, we will know when Silksong is coming out, which is a big win for the Switch 2 community, as well as obviously the Xbox community. Everybody's going to get it, but for Switch 2, I think it'll be really, really nice. Because buying that physically on the Switch 2 in a nice little deluxe set, like that'd be really nice. That'd be really, really cool. But I don't know. As far as what they're going to do for the rest of the year, I think that unfortunately Prime 4 is going to get delayed. It breaks my heart to say it, but it's absolutely true. This game has to get pushed. I really don't know when else they could release it. I mean, they could just pull it out of thin air in the middle of December and just hope for the best, but I think it's a great way to just kill the game. I could totally see them saying, look, you will have this done probably in time to release mid-December, but we don't want to just throw this game out to die. We should probably just do the responsible thing, get out of the holiday season, and just say, you know what? We're going to release this in like mid to late March or early April. Probably around Girls' Day out here in Japan. I've noticed that they like to release a big game around Girls' Day out here. So, while I hate that idea because it pushes it off longer, I feel like I would rather the game be a bigger success than have it fail and not eventually get a Metroid Prime 5, 6. I want the series to continue on. I want more and more Metroid titles. So, I don't know. I don't think it's coming out in 2025 anymore. I think the initial prediction, or sorry, not the initial prediction. I think the initial projection was for it to come out in September. I think they were thinking September, early October timeframe. I can kind of tell because there's big gaps in the schedule right here, and it's kind of like we wanted it right there, and I think the guys at Retro were like, yeah, but we need like 2 more months, right? And it's just like, ugh, it's like we've waited so long. We don't want to wait anymore. But there's really nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. But anyway, as far as the rest of Nintendo, I think that they're looking pretty good. I've been a little disappointed with this year. I'm not gonna lie. Um, they've been a little radio silent. I can tell that a lot of their people are probably more focused on building units and setting up for the Christmas holiday. I think that's really what they're putting all of their manpower behind right now is to say, hey, let's just build as many Switch 2s as humanly possible. And, let's just get them all shipped to their countries of origin, including the United States and, whatever. Japan out here is still on a lottery system. So just for you guys, in other countries, it is impossible to get one right now. However, I will say that it's getting easier because Japan kind of does things in a weird way. Obviously, they start out in the lottery system where it's completely random, but eventually, they move into the customer reward. I call it the customer rewards process. So kind of like in America, most major retailers out here have credit cards associated with those places. So like I usually shop at a Big Camera. Big Camera is usually my go-to place. And Big Camera offers a like a customer rewards card, which is what I have, which is just free. I can build up points with purchases and then use those points towards other purchases and yada yada yada. It's just a rewards program. It's totally free, no commitment. But then they've got their credit card, which gives you double the points. But obviously there's like an annual fee, and it's a credit card, right? It's a credit card. Um, so back in the day when PS5s were impossible to get a hold of, everything was based off of lottery. But then eventually, once it's starting to lighten up a little bit, you could go to Big Camera and they were like, "We have PS5s in stock." And I remember being like, "Yes, give me a PS5." And they were like, "Sure, no problem. Let me just see your Big Camera credit card." And I'm like, and they're like, "Yeah, you have to have a Big Camera credit card. You have to buy it on the credit card to get it." And they just had a stack of like 40 of them over there. And it's like, "Oh, you have to have a credit card to buy one." And it's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And that's how the Switch 2 is right now. Um, a buddy of mine I saw on Instagram, he had posted a photo and he was like, "Hey, I just did an impulse buy. I picked up the Switch 2 at Big Camera." And I saw in the photo that he posted behind there, he had the sign for the Switch 2. And I was like, "Oh, they're doing the whole if you have the credit card thing, we have them in stock for you right now." And it's like, "Okay, so they're improving the numbers. There's a lot more of them, but it's still not walk in and buy one right off the street, right?" Uh, Compared to the US, I was looking online just the other day for fun, and Best Buy's website had Switch 2s. Target's website had Switch 2s. I never check Amazon. Amazon's always been terrible with that, but Target and Best Buy both had them in stock. Now, I will say, which was fascinating to me, you had to buy the Mario Kart World bundle. You could not buy the console by itself. Now, at first, I was like, that's kind of strange because everybody wants the Mario Kart bundle. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, they're doing exactly what PlayStation did. And like, a couple months after the launch, they just stopped making the console by itself. You have to buy it with a game, right? Because they even have pre-orders up right now for the Pokemon ZA bundle on these websites. So it's like you can buy the Mario Kart World 1 today or pre-order the Pokemon ZA bundle for October, but you can't buy the 451. You've got to buy the $500 one. And I was like, that's interesting. That's kind of bizarre. But it's good to see that they're not hard to get a hold of. I'm sure when Christmas time rolls around, though, it will be extremely hard. But then I'm sure once middle of January comes back around, they'll be in store shelves. And that's probably when everything will normalize and you can just walk into a normal store and hopefully buy them worldwide. Japan, America, hopefully it shouldn't matter. However, unfortunately, out here, everything is still region locked, with the exception of if you buy it from, Nintendo's website. But anyway, overall, kind of an uneventful year for Nintendo. There was so much I felt like to talk about earlier in the year. There was so much Switch 2 news and rumors and fun stuff going on. And now it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like we've known everything that's coming out now for a couple months and nothing's really changing, until this Kirby announcement. And so it's like, well, all right. Like I said, I've also been busy. Work's been super busy for me for the entire month of July has been crazy. And even, most of August has been crazy as well. So it's good to be that I'm keeping busy. And I'm glad that there's not too much Nintendo stuff because otherwise I'd be trying to find the time to do this kind of stuff. But hopefully as work slows down for me, Nintendo news will increase and I can just switch from working at work to working on this stuff, which is what I like to do. It's a lot of fun. I don't really even care who's listening to this right now. I'm probably just listening to this by myself, thinking, how can I make the next episode better? But hey, I'm having fun doing this. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're having fun listening to this. I will catch you guys later. Thank you for joining this state of the union or state of Nintendo, and I appreciate you stopping by. Take care of each other out there.